Hello and welcome. Queen City Psychic Medium here, doing business as CINCY Psychic LLC. And if you enjoy my videos, like and subscribe, please. Okay, so I'm very excited to go ahead and share with you my spaceship, starship, ET, spiritual being memory, okay? And I'm just kicked back, and this is all improv. I don't even have notes on this, but I remember it in such detail, and I am going to try and remember every little thing in order. And I know there's a lot of people out there that that I have met. Actually, I have met a handful that have confided in me that they have had what they consider spaceship memories or abductions. I am going to say mine was not actually an abduction, okay? I did not have encounters with the Greys or anything, and I'll get into it here in a second. But I hope that my video does help the people who had experiences like me. And when I remembered, which was, what are we talking here? 32 years ago, 31, 32 years ago, coming up on 32 years, there was no internet. There was nobody to talk to about it. Here you have this full-blown memory, man. And, you know, if you talk to people about it, they might think you're crazy, right? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and share with you. And let me go. Let me get started here. Okay. It was 1967. I was 3.5 years old, and I believe it was Labor Day weekend because I remember that school had not started yet. I was not in school, but my father was a college student. We lived in Clifton. All my family was from Clifton. My paternal grandmother and my maternal grandmother, great-grandmothers, maternal great lived across the street from each other on Clifton Avenue at the top of the hill for years, 20, 30, probably more than 30 years. Anyway, okay, so I remember being escorted out into a courtyard, okay, and the buildings surrounded the courtyard. It was me, my parents, 3 other children and their parents, except for the other little girl. Her father was not present. So we went out into the courtyard. It was really boring. You know, I remember being tired. And we were told to look up in the sky. Everybody was like, what are we doing out here? You know, kind of. So we were told to look up at the sky. So we all did. And I'm just going to give you a visual. Okay, so the little boy, one of the little boys was to the right of me, okay, with his mother and father. The little girl, I don't remember which order they stood, but it was a little girl and her mother, her father had died in Vietnam. Okay, and then there was a little boy with his mother, and his father had on a military uniform. I do remember that, okay? So we were told to look up in the sky. And we all did. And I noticed, as everybody ended up noticing, I couldn't help but notice, there was a little dot in the sky, a little dark dot. And it got bigger and bigger and bigger. And it was obviously, it was a UFO. And I'm 3.5. Okay, so, you know, I'm not knowing anything because I'm not taught anything at this point. Okay, so my mother, she says, what is that? That can't be right. I mean, they're going on, okay, but I remember what my mother was saying because I'm standing right there with her. Okay, she says, how they do that? How they do that? And she turns around looking for the projectors. Because back then we had projectors. If you don't know what I'm talking about, look it up, man. It's the old-fashioned way, okay? All right. And she said, I didn't read anything about this in the paper. my mother read the newspaper every single day at dinner at the kitchen table. She'd eat and read. Okay. And my father was just amazed. Okay. And the woman, the mother of the little boy to the right of me, okay, it comes in and it lands, man. And it was just amazing, unbelievable how fast it was and how quick it stopped. And it looked like it was going to hit us and knock us down. And people thought that because, so the little boy's mom, she fainted, man. Boom, she was down. She was out. Okay. All right. And I'm going, and their legs were shaking when it was coming. I'm looking at these adults across from us. And we were like in a half moon shape, by the way, just to let you know. Okay. And, the video here, you guys are right across from me. That's how the spaceship was as I saw it. All right across from me, not looking with my head turned or anything. Okay, and I started pulling on my mom's jacket and saying, Mommy, that lady fainted. She fainted, and nobody cared. The woman just laid there. And the little boy started crying, which I don't blame him. And my mom said, that's okay. They'll take care of her. Okay, so the spaceship lands. All right, and off walks some men. All righty. And the dude in a military uniform, the little boy's dad, salutes. All right. I don't want to go in detail about the men that walked off of the ship. I did not see females. 3 men. I believe it was 3. Okay. So when the people came out, the ETs, they were dressed like doctors and nurses, old school. What I mean by that is the women in white stockings, white shoes, the white nurse uniform, and the white hat, right? The old-fashioned white hat. And they immediately came out and went for the woman that was on the ground who had fainted. And I don't know what happened to them. But anyway, so we were let in. Okay, so the first room was a huge room. I didn't walk too far in, and I just stepped maybe to the right. And I sat down in a chair, and there was chairs. I'm going to say there was, I don't know, maybe 10 chairs. Okay. And I sat down. There was big screen TVs, flat screen TVs, huge on the walls. Back then we did not have that. When I remembered this in December 89, January 1990, we did not have TVs like that as well at that time. Okay, so I sit down, everybody sits down, my hand goes into a plate. The arm of the chair had a metal plate, and my hand fit in it, and I remember the screen they showed me in the past, the house that we had just lived in, but we had recently moved. Okay, and my father had to say, hey, that's you, because I didn't even realize it. Okay, and my screen came in so clear. Perfect picture. Nobody else's did. My mom's, there was a little bit to hers. There was some fuzz. The little girl, the little blonde girl, hers came in a little bit. Next thing I know, I'm waking up. And I'm feeling real groggy. Oh, let me back up. Everybody was assigned a nurse, a woman dressed like the old school nurse. But the one I had, wow, it just figures, doesn't it? She didn't have a mouth, man. There was no mouth. They looked human, mainly brown hair, some dark brown hair. I don't recall really seeing any blondes or blue eyes, but they looked human. Mine didn't have a mouth. She was a little bit frumpy. Sorry. Just want to be honest here. Short hair, brown hair. Anyway, so I wake up. Okay. And my hand was in the plate still. And I wake up and I am so groggy. And there's my nurse that didn't have a mouth. And she has my right hand. And she said, you poor baby, we're not going to let that happen to you. And I said, what? And then I heard my parents over my left shoulder being escorted out the door we walked in. And my mom was going, it's all your fault. And, they were kind of bickering. And my dad was like, oh, I didn't know. Okay. And all the other people were gone except for one man. And I didn't recognize him from earlier. And so there would have been about, I don't know, maybe 5 empty chairs or something. And then him down at the end. Okay. And here's the tripping part. And I looked over and I saw him. And his temple was open right here. Okay. No blood dripping. His eyes are open. Okay. No screen was on. That I noticed anyway. Okay. And because I told you everybody had a separate screen. And I went, are you going to do that to me? And she went, we don't have to. And then in walked these people, these females, 3 females. And the dudes that were, it was like 2 guys dressed like doctors that were doing whatever they were doing to the dude's head, which I truly to believe was an implant. I believe that's what that was. What else would it be, right? Right? Okay. So, anyway, they walk in, 3 females, and they say, we found one, talking about me. And she just looked at me and she was like, there was like no comment. And I'm like, thinking, one what? What do they mean by that? So I'm escorted into the other room to I guess the main, I don't know, main room, whatever. Okay, so I go in. The little blonde-haired girl was at this room smaller. The little blonde-haired girl is all the way at the end. Then is her mother. Then there's like an empty chair or whatever. They have 2 dudes dressed like doctors with dark brown hair in a little white lab coat. Then it's my father, my mother, and me. Okay. I creeped out. I was creeped out at first because when we went into that room, there was a dude. He worked the controls. Okay. They tell him what to do. And obviously he was an android of some kind, but I didn't understand that as a kid. But he had 4 arms. Okay. So he had his arms and then he had another arms under them. All right. And that totally creeped me out. And I remember asking what his name was. And they told me something like Jubilee. Okay. And then I do believe there was a show on TV. I am not a TV person. I've never in my life liked TV. It's all bullcrap to me. I'd rather live my life than watch people pretend that they are. So I think there was a show called that, which music, songs, TV, and movies, I get messages from them because stuff comes out, and that's the way that I know things, which we'll go over that here as I go. So anyway, so in that room, we were all given a symbol. The little girl was a butterfly. Her mother was a dragon. And my father was a Buddha, just the Buddha that sits there with the belly. My mother was a hand, the hand of God. And when we all had our screens in front of us in this room as well. Okay, I forgot to mention that. And when they showed mine, it was a pyramid in sand, but I had never seen a pyramid before. It was the same color as a sand. And I went, sand? And they said, no, Melissa, you're a pyramid. And told me how cool it was. And I was like, okay. So then apparently we watched the future, or at least they did. I got glimpses. Okay. All right. So in this room, in the chair that I sat in, I do remember my hand being in a plate. But this time, I remember prongs. And I was laid back a little bit, reclined. And I remember metal prongs touching my neck. They showed us some of the future. Excuse me. They showed us some of the future. They showed that I would witness a murder. What happened is I tuned in on a murder. I picked it up. Okay, and told people about it. That was going to happen. They thought I was a little nuts, I guess. I don't know. Or being like a little brat, I guess. It happened. Then the people wanted to come after me. Long story. It's a whole another video. My life is not just one book or movie. My life has been 2 books or 2 movies. And it might end up being like a 3rd one. I don't know. So anyway, So they showed me what to do. I'm just going to skip through a lot of this stuff here and maybe go into it another time. Because right now I really just want to talk about the spaceship memory. Okay, and what's really important to get across. But anyway, I did help mess up a criminal. Yay! With the help of the spaceship people. But I do want to add this. They did show that he was going to, for retaliation, that he was going to cut my throat. And it was from ear to ear. Okay? And when they showed that on the screen, this is the part that's bizarre, is that, so obviously I'm like tranced or something, and I'm kicked back because they showed it on the screen, and I screamed and sat up and grabbed my neck, even though it was not really happening to this physical body. Okay, and my father jumped up and he said, "Does she feel that?" And they told him yes, that I did, and yes, I did. I did feel it. Ooh, I can kind of feel it now. Okay, but anyway, so he had to end up getting put in a car wreck, and he had to flatline for a little bit so he could have his little hell experience and he could get set straight. I do have his mugshot here, by the way, which I'm not going to show at this time. Anyway, so they showed me, this is the very, very important part, okay? And I'm going to do another video on this because it did happen. They showed me the twin ravens. Okay, and they told me that a bad man came on board the spaceship, and he took one of the ravens. They were, I don't know, they did not say ravens. I don't remember that, but there's another reason why I know, which is when they actually came later. But anyway, the ravens, the blackbirds, they were each in like a gold cage, just a gold cage, just old-fashioned gold cage, okay? And I did not see them in person. I saw them on the screen, and they told me that a bad man came onto the spaceship and took one of the birds, and that they could do really bad things to our government men, okay? And wow, so wow, yeah, later I find some things out because the pieces to the puzzle are starting to come together now. I didn't know the puzzle was that big, which is one of the reasons I'm doing videos now. Okay, so I can share. Alrighty. Now, they showed us Jesus Christ. All right. It was, he was on the screen. Okay. And he had, I didn't know who it was because he didn't look like the pictures that hung in my grandmother's house. Okay. He did not have blonde hair or brown hair and blue eyes. All right. He had, I only saw him from, I'm going to say the solar plexus up, by the way. Okay. Chest up. So I did not see full body. He had long, black, wavy, unruly hair that like looked like it really needed to be cut. Some split ends, okay, it needed brushed. So he had black, wavy hair, dark brown eyes, pretty big nose, longer face rather than rounder. I didn't know who he was at first. And when they showed us him, my mother looked tranced, okay, and her hands were out, and she started moaning like she was in pain, and my father freaked out, and he started to get up out of the chair, and they said, you know, it's okay. So then my mother came to. Here's another tripping part. They wanted blood samples. I don't know what happened with the little girl and her mother. I do need to back up and tell you this. Before we even really got started in the second room there, the mother wailed out a cry, so extreme and so distraught. And we all looked over, and then the lady told us that the little girl was going to die. And we already knew that the father had died in Vietnam, and he wasn't even over there that long. And they said that the little girl would help them develop a vaccine or something, or a cure, I'm not sure, for some horrible childhood disease that was happening at that time. This was the late 60s, 67. Okay. So I did want to share that. Okay. So we talked about the raven, and they would make it come my way. And then she told me when it did to call on her. Another important part here. My father's questions everything, and I do too. So my father asked the spaceship, the main lady running it there, okay, are you God? Okay, after they showed us Jesus. And she said, no, I am a goddess. And my father said, is God here? And she said, yes. And he said, can we meet him? And she said, yes. And at first they acted like they were going to allow us to meet God. And then suddenly, I guess they changed their mind and we didn't. Okay. So the lady had, her name was Diana. I will tell you that. I do remember that. And she had long brown hair and brown eyes, and actually she kind of looked like me when I was in my early 20s. And I do want to go ahead and say this. The vibe that I get sometimes with it, even at that time as a child, and in remembering it, and even lots of times now, is that they're us in the future, okay? And I sometimes feel like, was that me in the future? I don't know. And I don't know what's possible with that. I will tell you in closing that they said to me, Diana said to me, she asked me, did you know before you were born that if you were born that we would come? And I said, yes. And I was not ever shocked or surprised or anything with them coming. It all felt very natural to me. And the last thing that I'm going to say here regarding my spaceship experience, she told me, we'll be back when you're an adult. And I didn't know what that word meant. So my dad told me, that means when you're 18. Well, I'm way, 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 way over 18. And they have come back. I don't remember any particular experiences with her. I do with one male. And he has actually opened up a window on me when I've been sitting next to my husband watching TV, and had some things to say one time. Told me to stop doing somebody's meditations when I started doing some meditations from somebody in Canada. And it was real tripped out because I could see her and she could see me. It was that strong, that connected. And it was weird and it was dark. Okay, so anyway, I hope that me sharing my spaceship, starship experience memory with you either entertained you or helped you. And I look forward to sharing more. I will talk about the raven and when it came and what happened with that. And it does siphon souls. I understood that after I saw it. And my other spaceship experiences, because I've had quite a few. Oh, hold on. In closing, I do want to say, for anybody that thinks, well, maybe I'm a little nuts, and I don't even care anymore. Okay. My mother had spaceship memories, full-blown memories. She brought it up. People thought she was nuts a little bit. Okay. She also had an experience where a glowing white ball had come into the room. My paternal grandmother also had that same experience with the glowing white ball that came into the room. I have a paternal uncle that to this day still has ongoing spaceship, starship experiences, as I do. And he says he's a mechanic for them. Okay, and I am going to go ahead and say my line of family that has the starship, spaceship experiences and just and seeing things, because there's a lot more to it than this. We are all RH negative. So there's something with that too that I've learned. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed my video. I look forward to sharing, and I love you all, and I wish you all peace, harmony, and joy. And till next time, peace out.